Hey everybody, I'm Ethan Lemler. Welcome to the Ethan Lemler Podcast Show. Today on the show, we got George, Ryan, and Rishi. No Noah today. Don't know why. He's absent again. What are you going to do about it? So we're just going to move on ahead. And so last week, we talked about every game in Week 13 except for the one that was going on while we were doing the podcast, as we talked about, and the Tuesday game, the Ravens game. I'm not going to lie, I was very nervous for that game. But first, we're going to talk about the Bills. Who'd they play?
Niners.
49ers.
Niners game. The Bills-Niners game. This game was very important for both teams. 49ers coming in against a weak NFC. They had a chance if they win. They would be in the playoffs and had a pretty good shot at getting that 7th seed. Right now, I'm pretty sure the Vikings have it. So they needed the win. Obviously, they did not get it. And on the AFC side, the Bills coming off a strong – they're having a really strong season. Pretty sure they're winning their division right now, trying to fend off the Dolphins. That win is really strong for them in their division race. What we really saw from it, Josh Allen lit him up. I think right now, if he has another good couple games, he's MVP. He played dynamic. I don't think there's anybody really chasing him. Right now, according to Las Vegas, I saw he's the best odds now, even in front. Oh, actually, I'm not thinking of Mahomes and Rodgers, obviously, but he has a better chance than Wilson. 4 touchdowns in the first half. Great game from him. Niners, they're injured a lot. They couldn't pull it off. It was just a dominant game from the Bills. What do you guys think?
I don't know about Josh Allen being the front runner for the MVP race.
I forgot about Mahomes then.
Yeah, Mahomes is not exempt from MVP.
Yeah,
I mean, Josh Allen did have a pretty bad stretch of 3 or 4 games in the middle of the season, and Wilson is going through the same thing right now. And I think Wilson was better than in the times when he was good. And think about the supporting cast too. I think Wilson is still ahead of Allen in the MVP race.
I think it's really close.
I agree.
But yeah,
very close.
But I think if Allen's able to show the dominance he did Monday, especially against the Steelers, a good defense, I think we'll have to see what happens Sunday. Because this will be one of his main tests, probably one of the best defenses in the league. We'll have to see how he's able to run the ball, throw the ball, and overall just not be eaten up by this really good veteran defense that the Steelers have. Any other notes about the Bills team or 49ers?
That was a convincing Bills victory. It was
Agreed.
good to see for them.
All right. Now what I love talking about. I love talking about the Ravens. Ravens-Cowboys. I'll be doing a podcast about the Ravens. You guys can find it on our Spotify, the new Ethan Lemler podcast show. And I'll just shout out our socials. Our Instagram is at @official_ELPS. So the Ravens won 34-17. Honestly, I thought it was a pretty great game from them. They still are out a couple of people. They didn't have Mark Andrews. They didn't have Matthew Judon on the end. Their secondary was looking a little weak against Andy Dalton. But, again, their receivers are very good in Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. On offensive side, this is where I really liked it. Lamar Jackson had a really great game. He was running the ball great. He threw it for 2 touchdowns, and he just looked really comfortable in the pocket, especially, I don't know if you guys saw the touchdown pass to Marquise Brown, ran out to his left and threw a dime to the back of the end zone. That's his MVP form that he needs to get back at the end of the season. What else can you say from it? They ran for 280-plus yards, 296, I believe. J.K. Dobbins is looking like a second-round steal right now. He averaged over 10 yards. He averaged, 9 yards per carry. Gus Edwards is Gus the Bus. He ran for over 10 yards per carry. They both dominated, obviously a lackluster Cowboys defense, but I think this is good signs for the Ravens coming into the last couple of weeks. If they're able to regain their running identity, and if Lamar Jackson is able to go back into his MVP or close to his MVP form. I might have been a homer, so what do you guys have to say about this?
Yeah, so Ravens right now fighting for a playoff spot in a stacked AFC North division. See, this was a good win for the Ravens, but I think if the Ravens really wanted to solidify themselves as a team that can make a deep playoff run, this score shouldn't have been as close as it is. Cowboys, horrible defense, shown it time and time, and the Ravens really dominated from what they're good at, but I don't think Lamar, at least passing, played as good as the Ravens need him to.
Yeah, like the Ravens were expected to win this game, but it's good for the Ravens that it wasn't like a close game, particularly, but it's also not great for the Ravens that it was still generally close. They should have won by a lot more against this very injury-riddled Cowboys team.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Cowboys a little bit. I think everything's just going downhill for them.
It's not
They
great.
just knocked them out of the playoff race. These players that were anchors of the defense last year that were potentially top 10. I saw Leighton Vander Esch. He was getting destroyed.
No, dude. It's
I saw that Lamar run down the middle. He got completely faked out. He went the opposite direction and didn't change until Lamar was at the 10-yard line. It was very lackluster from the Cowboys defense. They're getting older. Their D-line, their O-line too. Everyone's getting older, and not enough young talent is on their team. I think the Cowboys are going to be pretty big wreck for a few years.
We'll have to see. Obviously, Cowboys haven't gone through this rebuild since I can remember. I'm not sure if they've ever gone through this type of rebuild that they're maybe going to have to. We're going to have to see what they can do. Dak Prescott, free agent. Do the Cowboys have the money? I'm not sure, because after they signed Elliott and some of these defenders that have not been performing, they don't really have a lot of cap space for what Dak is going to ask for, a top upper 30, maybe 40 million range. So it's going to be a really tough rebuilding process, much tougher than these other teams we've seen.
Yeah, Zeke, it's looking bad.
Yeah.
He was just a product of the O-line after all.
Yeah.
The Eagles fans have been saying since his first step on the field.
I mean, they were wrong the first time he stepped on the field because he had a very good couple of years there. But right now,
Product of the O-line.
Yeah. All right, let's playoffs are getting near. Let's talk about some playoff surprises. What teams are you expecting to either make the playoffs that you wouldn't expect, or B, make a splash in the playoffs that people think aren't going to actually do that well? Ryan.
The Giants.
I mean,
No,
I have to agree with you.
Washington football team.
I agree with you, Ryan. But you keep going.
The Giants will, I think they have the best chance to win the division. Washington will be a close second, but I think the Giants will be able to win. They have a much better defense.
Washington
Much
is under
better.
the table.
Yeah,
Why-
right now, Washington, best team in the NFC East right now. We
Yeah.
don't know how Jalen Hurts will play. See,
What?
the Giants,
The Eagles are out of the conversation.
What are you talking
Don't
about?
talk about
Eagles-
The Giants
All right.
beat them
Eagles are just out of
twice.
the conversation.
no, Eagles, okay. Although the Eagles are kind of out of the conversation, you never know.
Kind of
Eagles
out of the
have always
conversation.
Oh
been-
my
Never
gosh.
know.
You
You
can't
don't
even
know.
say that.
You don't know.
They're,
You never know.
they're playing their second round rookie. That we
Exactly.
don't know.
See how he dotted the Packers defense up?
What do you mean? He
They
threw an
were-
interception.
Yeah, okay.
5 throwing attempts.
The
I
Packers
saw
Packers
were
weren't
down-
even trying at that
I
point.
saw 2 good throws from Jalen Hurts, and that was against the
Better than Carson Wentz.
Packers defense.
Better than 0 from Carson Wentz. Just wait.
Well,
Doesn't mean they can win the NFC East.
at this point, Rishi.
Okay. They might not win, but still,
May
I
not
don't think
win.
the Giants. Okay, now
Eagles
going back to the
fans
original point,
overhyping Jalen
football
Hurts.
team is
Yeah.
better than the Giants. Football
They're
team is
not.
better
I
than the
disagree.
Giants.
WFT, winners of the NFC East.
Best D line in the NFC East.
Just because they beat the Steelers
Best
doesn't mean
coach
they're a
in the
better
NFC.
team.
No, I've been
East.
high on the Washington football team for a while now.
Have you though, George?
No,
Well,
I don't
you did
think
pick
so.
them. You did pick them. George, ever since George picked the football team over the Steelers,
your
he's
favorite team.
feeling kind of cocky here.
Oh,
George next week.
Listen to
If
a podcast when I picked the Washington football team over the Steelers, you guys were all trashing on me. I gave a very good
We
reason.
never trashed on you. We can.
Yeah,
look
we
back
did.
and
Yeah,
look
we
at-
did.
Yeah,
We can
yeah, you
lie.
did. Stop lying.
Trash is a. We said we doubted it. I don't think we ever trashed on you like we did Ryan with the Jets.
The
We
Jets
trashed
was a
him.
better pick.
Whatever. We don't have to go back into that. George next week is gonna be like I had a Redskins hat on when I came out of the womb. I was a homer from day one.
No, the Packers are the best team in the NFL. Why would I
Okay,
switch
no,
to
just
them?
stop there. Stop there.
That's true.
Stop there.
Rishi, what do you think? Teams that could make a splash in the playoffs.
Okay, I want to go back to my Cleveland Browns. I feel like whoever they play in the wild card round, they'll beat. Because unless the only team I see the Browns having a little trouble against is the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, but I feel like by then the Browns will have a way to beat Lamar Jackson. You have Myles Garrett, you have a good front seven. So I feel like the Browns, they could surprise some of these big teams.
Well, obviously we'll have to see on Monday because I feel like it's gonna be a really great. That's gonna be a good game. I feel after week one demolishing, which Rishi, I don't know if you remember, the score was
Browns
around
are a new
36
team.
to 7.
Browns
Rishi,
are a
do you
new
remember
team.
the score? Because I just said it, but I'm not sure if you remember.
Browns are a new team.
The Browns are a new team in the same
New
year.
Baker.
New Baker. Let's see if the new Baker throws 4
Baker's
interceptions.
horrible. Baker's
Four first half
horrible.
touchdowns against a good Tennessee Titans defense.
Good as
Miles-
One game.
Sitting him. They were questioning sitting him before the Titans game.
No, they weren't.
No, they
They were not sitting
No,
Baker.
they weren't, George. What are you
I
talking
heard
about?
something from Colin Cowherd. He said,
Don't listen to
Then
Colin
you-
Cowherd.
He's not
Cowherd.
the Browns.
What?
There's no way the Browns
Why are
are
you
sitting Baker
Colin
Mayfield.
Cowherd.
they were potentially going to move on from him next year if he did not
No.
perform against the
Next
Titans.
No,
That's not
I
why.
don't
next
think
year?
so.
no
That's
way.
not next year. I mean, they led him to a 7-9. It's not like they were that bad last year either. He didn't play up
They
to
were-
a first.
But they were
round.
right. They were supposed to go like 11-5.
Well, that's Freddie
Yeah, because
Kitchens.
they had the
That was-
worst coach in the NFL.
That was on Freddie Kitchens.
Now they have a good coach.
All right, George, what do you say? Who's going to make a splash in the playoffs?
You can't say football team.
Or Packers.
Or
Why
the-
not Packers? Why not
Because they're
Packers?
expected. They're
The Packers are
expected.
number one in the NFC. They're not unexpected to make a splash in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, then right now the 7th seed in the NFC, the Vikings. They've been known as the upset kings before.
That's true. Only if they play.
I see that. I'm not
Only
gonna lie.
against the Saints. Yeah.
I see that.
They have no personnel, but Mike Zimmer has made their defense top 15 in the league.
That's not.
They have a really
Have
good.
you
They have
ever
a,
heard any of their cornerbacks?
They haven't-
Mike Zimmer
their
has
defense
somehow
hasn't played
ski-
anybody in the last couple of weeks.
It doesn't matter. They're playing great.
They played
They're
Jackson. They played a
they
Mike.
have the best. They have a top 3 running back in the NFL.
They played a Mike.
They have a
Williams
top
Jackson.
5 safety in the NFL, Harrison Smith. They have a good coach. They have some players around him. I agree with that. I'm
I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not
Like
saying.
top 10 quarterback and Kirk Cousins too.
Okay, no,
Let's not get
not
drafted.
top 10, but
no.
Let's not
a
get
decent quarterback. Not top 10, but decent
top 10.
quarterback.
He's above average.
Let's not get crazy here.
I
Well,
can
George is
see
saying
them
he's
pulling
top
up
10.
that. They're good. They play hard every week. They beat the Packers, so I don't see why they could go and beat the Saints.
I
Well,
feel,
if the Packers get the number 1 seed in the NFC, then
I
the
think the
Saints
Packers-
would most likely
Packers
get
will.
2.
The Packers will
The
get the
Saints-
1 seed.
The Saints are going against the Chiefs. They're going against the Vikings these next 4 weeks. I think they're going to drop at least one, and the Packers have one tough game ahead of them, which is the Tennessee Titans.
And they're gonna
If they
win.
beat the Titans, then they're in the 1 seed.
I expect them to beat the Titans.
Yeah, it's very possible that the number 2 Saints could play the number 7 Vikings in the wild
Yeah,
card.
that would be very funny. I would enjoy that.
If the Vikings won again,
Vikings should win.
Yeah.
I would bet money on Vikings.
All
They
right.
don't have Stephon Diggs.
Doesn't matter.
You guys have really
They have
taken.
Justin Jefferson.
It's true.
You guys have really said what I was going to say. I was going to say the Browns or the Giants, but
Not the Giants.
I think if they make it and if they're able to figure it out, the Cardinals. At the beginning of the year, I was very high on this Cardinals team with Kyler Murray. even before they got D-Hop, their defense was pretty good. Kyler Murray was playing at a really great level in the first couple of weeks. Lately, they've dropped off. I'm looking to see if they can regain some of that earlier form in these next couple of weeks. I'm just here looking at their rest of the schedule. They play Giants, Eagles, 49ers, Rams. It's not an easiest schedule, but it's not a tough schedule by any means either. So obviously, if they're able to rebound against a tough-looking Giants team, take on the Eagles in Arizona, and then 49ers and Rams, we'll have to see what they can do there. But they might have to win out in order to get a playoff spot. And if they do win out and they're able to get their form back, I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs because they're a scary team with a lot of different help everywhere on the field.
So
Yeah,
I said this in the
Why aren't they
beginning.
winning? If they have so much talent, why aren't they winning?
I said this in the beginning of the season. The two most overhyped teams were the Broncos and the Cardinals. I was right about one of them, and I'm semi-right about the Cardinals. They just don't have a good O-line to protect Kyler Murray.
When were the Broncos hyped? I hyped them up.
Everyone hyped them up.
Hyped the Broncos.
Everyone hyped them up. I said they were not going to be good
Drew
at all.
Lock is
I
just
was correct.
Garbage can, worst quarterback in the NFL.
George, let's not use superlatives here. There's definitely worse quarterbacks than Drew Lock.
Name a worse starting quarterback.
Carson Wentz.
That's not a backup.
Carson Wentz, yeah.
Carson Wentz is a backup.
No, he's not.
Oh,
And Jalen Hurts.
He's not really.
No,
a
Jalen
backup.
Hurts is not worse. Actually,
What do you mean?
Mike Glennon is definitely worse than Drew
Mike
Lock.
Glennon at the moment.
He's a backup as well. I'm talking
You're-
about an actual starting quarterback.
Okay, Carson
Yeah,
Wentz.
Carson Wentz is a starter.
Yeah, but Carson Wentz has shown flashes.
Has he
Drew Lock
though?
has shown nothing.
Yes,
I
he has.
Drew Lock is just a garbage can.
The easiest division in the league. I don't know what flashes he's showing other than hot flashes that he looks like he's having mid-throw. I don't.
Yes, but Drew Lock has help on his O-line, and he has good receivers. Carson Wentz has none of those.
Carson Wentz
had the best O-line in the league.
The
But
Eagles
not any-
What are you
almost
talking
had the
about?
same
Obviously
amount of talent
injuries,
as the
but
Broncos.
And when he had the best O-line in the league, he was an MVP candidate.
And then he got
Product of
hurt.
the system.
But he wasn't the MVP, and then he was never his
Yeah,
form.
because he got injured. I'm
All right,
not,
enough talk about Carson Wentz and how bad he
Carson
is.
Wentz
The
is
Cardinals,
but he's not Drew Lock.
Cardinals are not going far in the playoffs. I doubt
Yeah.
they'll even make the playoffs. They're going to get demolished by the Rams. I think they might lose to the 49ers. I think their season's over.
Yeah, we'll see next week when they play the Giants. That's going to be an interesting game for
That's a
both
must-win
teams.
for the Cardinals right there. So
I don't see the Giants winning. Giants are
It's the
trash.
Giants' home game.
it is.
Giants are trash.
We'll
Though.
talk about this on
About it.
tomorrow's Friday.
They're getting lucky.
We'll talk about this tomorrow then.
The Giants have one good player on defense, maybe arguably
No,
two.
That's
their
not-
defense is
Lynn
pretty good.
Tomlinson, Leonard Williams, all good pass
Yeah,
rushers.
George, you're really wrong about that.
James
Let's talk-
Bradbury,
let's talk-
good
Let's talk
corner.
about something we haven't talked about all year, and which I choose not to talk about, but I have been coaxed into it by my peers here on the show. Fantasy football. I am, full disclosure, out of the playoffs. Had a terrible season. I do not want to talk about it. But some
You got for
surprises.
picking Lamar first round.
We don't talk about it, Reed. We don't talk about it. Yes,
Learn
I took
from your
Lamar first
mistakes.
round. I took Lamar
Fantasy
first round.
surprises though, Antonio Gibson, what a beast.
I think the biggest James Robinson of the Jackson.
James Robinson, biggest
Yeah,
surprise. Yeah, I agree.
It looked like he had a great week. And then he had another good week. And then he had another good week. And he keeps having good weeks. So obviously we'll have to see if he's another potential high candidate for next year. But I'm not sure. We'll have to see if he's able to keep his form for the next fantasy and be able to be a first or second round draft pick. So obviously some other disappointments. Saquon, and a lot of different ACLs that happened in the beginning of the year. George Kittle was hurt for most of the year.
CMC, he's been hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been
Something
on off. Like I have him on my team. It's been really annoying.
Yeah, the top three picks have all been doing horrible. CMC, Saquon, Zeke, and then Michael.
Yeah, that's true.
Thomas.
I'd love to say I that's the reason I'm doing bad, but it really isn't.
My fantasy team has been all around the place. picked Michael Thomas first round, traded him and Stephon Diggs for Zeke and Devonta Adams. We'll see how good of a trade it was in the playoffs. At least I made the playoffs, Ethan.
We all did.
Ethan will have to do a punishment now since he's out of the play.
No, I don't.
Yes.
If you
bottom
lose.
Bottom four have to
You
do
said bottom 2. Well, we'll talk about
comment down
We'll talk
below
about
what
this
you want to
later.
see Ethan do. It can
We'll
be
talk about this
anything.
later. So
Yes.
let's talk about. So this, I'll read off my team. Comment what you think below. Obviously, in hindsight, this was a terrible team. Week 1. This is week 1. Then I'll read my most recent week. So QB Lamar, RB1 Fournette, RB2 Ronald Jones. So let me take you on a journey here. I draft Fournette in the 3rd. Then I draft Jones, I think, a little later on. Fournette gets cut and gets signed by Tampa, who, guess what? Ronald Jones is already on. So right at the beginning, before the even year gets started, I get screwed by my 2 top running backs being on the same team. I eventually traded him away, but put that away. Put that away, George. Put it away.
If George turned to me,
He was number 1 player in 2019. So I don't know what you're trying to talk about. All right, so my wide receivers. I got Jarvis Landry, and then I got John Brown.
Bust.
That's such a horrible team.
That's
That's so bad.
Quiet your mouth. John Brown scored 19 points in the first round.
Then you dropped
Tight
him.
end, I got Mark Andrews. My flex was AJ Green, Ravens D, Robbie Gold. On the
one
bench,
of the worst teams I've seen.
Oh my
in the history of
gosh.
fantasy
I didn't
football.
realize it was that bad.
Drafted. Ethan's
It's
just
really
bad.
Then let's go to my most recent week 13. I actually won this week against 2. I won against Ryan. So keep talking here, bud. So my QB1, Ryan Tannehill. Then our running backs, Chase Edmonds and Naheem Hines. Because Ronald Jones is obviously out. Already my first 3 players are not the people I started in week 1. So let's go to the wide receivers. Wide receivers, Jarvis Landry and Brandon Ayuk. So far, 1 person from week 1. And Jarvis Landry popped off, so did Ayuk. Ryan, you know that because you lost.
That wasn't because of you. That was because of my terrible team.
Please silence your phones. I will mute you.
George.
My tight end. So obviously Mark Andrews was out this week. So who did I have? No one else than Robert Tonyan of the Green Bay Packers. Surprisingly,
Good.
got me 13 points.
Good.
Robert. It's
Underrated
pronounced
tight end.
Tunyon. It's pronounced Tunyon.
Underrated
I'm
tight
going to
end.
pronounce it how I want to. He's on my team. So at flex, I got CD Lamb, who's been inconsistent throughout the year. Ravens D, then Robbie Gold. So out of everybody, out of the 9, I believe, 9 or 10, 3 of them were starting in week 1. And 2 of those were my defense and my kicker. So that's pretty much just sums up my year for you.
I have the best kicker in the game, so that's why I'm sitting at a playoff spot
Hey,
against George.
my top 2 picks got injured too. There's no excuse, Ethan.
No excuse, Ethan.
Saquon and Eckler, both out.
My excuse is that Jarvis Landry didn't get over 13 points until this week. That's a pretty good excuse. And then obviously just wasn't great for me. I think that'll do it for us today. If anybody else has anything they want to add on. No? We'll try to get out.
Remember, comment the punishments, please.
Yeah.
Comment punishments. We need
No, let's
good
not do
ideas.
No, make it, please don't do that. Check us out on Instagram, official_ELPS, Spotify, the new Ethan Lemler podcast show. There we have our podcast as well as the Eagles podcast show. We're going to have the Ravens podcast show. We'll have some basketball there soon as well. Next week, we're planning on putting out a basketball podcast and maybe some college basketball as well. So stay tuned for that. Saturday, we'll try to get out our picks for this week to you guys. Obviously, we did not do that great this week, but we'll try to get it better. I think that's all for all of us.
Give our records.
Oh, that's right. Shoot, I ripped it. So right now, I do not hear somebody talk about something for 1 second.
Rams, Patriots, 10-0.
Do you want to see Ethan have a inverse mohawk for losing fantasy? I want to
know what
imagine
I'm
how
doing.
that
I'm
looks.
not shaving my head for
Let's
fantasy.
imagine how that looks for a
I'm
second.
not
Let's
shaving.
talk about the
my head,
Rams, George. Let's
I
talk about
think
the
he
Rams.
looks more
Cam
like a
Akers,
linebacker.
George. Cam Akers, 84 yards through one quarter.
All right, thank you for talking about something, Rishi.
Will he break 200?
No.
What's his
No.
points in one
All
quarter?
right, so right now, me, Ryan, and Rishi all at 12-5, with George with his very clutch Washington football team pick at 13-4. I forgot to get Noah's picks. That's my fault. I'll try to get him this week. So anybody's game right now going into the final weeks. After that, that's it for us today. That's all from us at the Ethan Lemler Podcast Show. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe down below. Comment what you guys think about our opinions, what you guys want, some questions for us. Thank you guys. See you next time.